1853, Spain. A courtroom. The attendees are anxious and frightened. They are trying to explain what is happening. And what is happening is a historic trial, later called the Case of the Wolfman of 1778. On the defendant's bench sits a man around 40 years old. He doesn't look fierce or intimidating, yet the people present are afraid of him. He is accused of 13 brutal murders. The bodies are barely recognizable. And most importantly, he confesses to the murders, with one caveat: he is not responsible for them. He committed them in an unconscious state because he is cursed. Listen, no way this is just for the network, it's amazing, but I think we can go even further. We're too good for just networks. We could make a movie. Imagine you're telling the story of some kind of maniac, and then you shoot it. A maniac, that's so cool. Werewolf. What's next? Vampires? No, that's not cringe. There's a condition called clinical lycanthropy, where a person believes they transform into a wolf, and they feel it. It's possible that this guy had real dissociative identity disorder. Spain, mid-10th century, a small town in Spain. A terrifying news spreads. In the forest, the bodies of a woman and her young daughter are found. The bodies are mutilated and torn apart in such a brutal manner that it seems impossible for a human to have done it. Their bodies look as though they've been clawed by something. Immediately, rumors spread that there's some kind of beast in the forest. Is this from a movie? No, this is a real story. People really believed this. First, it's the 10th century, and second, it's northern Spain, which at the time was suffering from severe famine. This led to massive migration. Most importantly, there was a rise in madness. It sounds strange today, but in the medieval era, in France alone, countless people were executed for being werewolves. This was not unusual at all back then. Later, 2 more people disappear, a woman and her young son. People begin hearing strange howls in the woods, almost wolf-like. Some even claim to have seen the shape of the beast. Soon, another 2 bodies are found. Again, a woman and her little daughter. Then, people notice something odd. All the victims were last seen entering the woods with the same man. They were always accompanied by the same person, walking with someone into the forest. In the mid-century in Spain, the constant crop failures and extended rains caused a crazy migration of rural population, peasants moving to cities in search of work and food. At the time, a new profession became popular, a companion guide who would lead people through unfamiliar areas as there were no maps or navigators. Gomez was a short man in his 40s. Educated, he could read and write, which was rare back then. He worked as a handyman, helping with household chores like washing, cleaning, cooking, mending clothes, and harvesting. Local men considered him too effeminate, but women trusted him greatly. Word spread that Gomez was the one who had accompanied all the victims. He was soon arrested. But here's where things get interesting. It turns out his real name was Manuel Blanco Romasanta, and he was already on the run for a murder charge in 1843. Romasanta had a debt of 600 reales, and the local constable was after him. After their meeting, the constable was found dead, and Romasanta had disappeared. The most shocking part was that Romasanta immediately confessed. But there's a twist. He claimed he committed all the murders of his own will because he was a werewolf. The rumor quickly spread throughout the country. Newspapers reported that a werewolf had been captured, and now he was to be tried. Several courts fought for the right to handle the case, but the trial ended up in the town of Alieri. Later, this case would be known as the Werewolf of Alieri. Romasanta began to give his confession in court, claiming that this was a family curse. He turned into a wolf. A fragment of his testimony is preserved in the court records. "Your Honor, the first time I turned into a wolf was in the mountains of Cusa. I encountered 2 ferocious-looking wolves. I suddenly collapsed to the ground and convulsions began. I turned 3 times, and for several seconds, I was a wolf. I marauded with the other 2 wolves for 5 days before I returned to my human body, the one you see before you now. Your Honor, we attacked several people and ate them because we were hungry. In the court materials, he claims that he was a fatal and mysterious creature, a wicked genius, thrown by God into a world that wasn't meant for him, but was instead created for evil. And everyone believed him. The court needed to prove that Romasanta killed in the shape of a man, so they began investigating the bodies. The court confirmed that 4 of the victims were indeed killed by wolves. Who was Romasanta? Manuel Blanco. Romasanta was born on November 18, 1809, in the village of Reguera. He was born into a large family, and something strange happened at his birth. His sex could not be determined due to an illness. Some sources say he was raised as a girl for the first 6 years of his life. Romasanta is believed to have come from a wealthy family because he could read and write, which was rare back then. At 21, Romasanta married, but the happy marriage didn't last long. 3 years later, his wife died. Was it because he killed her? No, she died of natural causes. After his wife's death, Romasanta decided to start a new life. He traveled throughout Spain and even reached Portugal. These travels allowed him to not only see all of Spain, but also learn how to navigate forests, which later helped him work as a guide. He traveled all around the country, telling women that he knew all the roads, had visited many cities, and could lead them to a better life. Naturally, they trusted him and agreed. At first, women just disappeared. When asked about their whereabouts, Romasanta showed letters of thanks from the women saying that everything was fine and thanking him for his help. Of course, he wrote these letters himself. How could anyone believe this? In the 10th century, few people knew how to read and write, and here was a letter in writing. Psychiatric experts. A large team of doctors examined Romasanta's psyche. According to their diagnosis, Romasanta was not insane. His inclination to vice showed that he was not mad, but rather a criminal capable of anything. One of the most telling signs was that Romasanta sold the victims' belongings. This behavior showed the experts that he had enough sanity to come up with strategies that allowed him to avoid justice. As a result, Manuel Blanco Romasanta was sentenced to death. But there's more. A person named Dr. Phillips appeared. His real name was said to be Joseph Duran, a hypnotherapist who had traveled the world. He requested a suspension of the trial, claiming that the doctors had taken the case too lightly and that he could use hypnosis to understand what was going on in Romasanta's mind. Queen Isabella, intrigued by the case, commuted his death sentence to life imprisonment. She wanted to keep him in prison to observe his mental state and determine whether he was truly mad. Romasanta died in prison 2 years later from stomach cancer. During those 2 years, he never transformed. It's true that 4 people were killed by wolves, though. Yes, it seems that Romasanta left the victims' bodies in the forest and real wolves finished them off. Cool story, huh? Will you be posting this on YouTube? I think so. Don't forget to ask people to subscribe to the channel.